Yes. Hey, it's Mac with PriceActionTradingSystem.com. And it's Wednesday. It's October 18th. This will be our chart lesson for today. And this isn't going to take long at all. I mean, there's just not much happening. And unless you want to just be really aggressive, um, you just don't have a lot of options. And that's the bottom line. So just not much volume. Definitely not any volatility. And really what happens is we'll trade in a range each day and we'll close either slightly up or slightly down. And that's kind of been the MO lately. And it just continues to do that. There's just not much interest in a lot of heavy buying at this price level because we're making basically all-time highs, but yet nobody really wants to sell this market either. So um, we just kind of chop along and either close up slightly or close down slightly. So um, the only good thing about it, the longer you go with low volatility, once it cranks up, it's usually pretty good. So we're just waiting on that point to happen at this stage. So maybe it'll come soon. But let's talk about the trades, and we'll wrap it up because it's not but a few of them here, and we'll go from there. And we'll be back again to do it tomorrow and wrap up our week. But we were trading up here. And you can see right at the open we start trading down, and right out of the gate this looks just like there's not much of a range here, and we're already trading down right out of the gate. Um, there's a lower high here, but that's a very bullish bar. Then you get what I would call a reversal pattern. Your failed second entry long. We didn't push through the EMA. We pushed through it, but we didn't close through it. So it is the third touch of this trend line. So I like this trade, but at the same time, it's not a perfect reversal pattern setup, and so it could push lower and turn and go higher. And you see it actually did go higher, but it ends up moving on down. So you'd had to ride out this little correction here. This was the better place to enter. And it actually went higher here and turns and goes out the other side. So I like going short right there. I'm not too crazy about going short way down here, right where it looks like it's trying to make a double bottom. You got to figure we're probably headed to test these lows, but sometimes it'll push down here and make a tick or two or get stuck right there and bounce again. So you had to be careful. But I like this one. If you did enter here, I'd want to let it back up. And I mean, if I did want to enter on this bar, I'd let it break lower and drop a limit order back here where I would have gotten short originally, and it wouldn't have come back, so you wouldn't have gotten filled on it. So I actually like this one to the long side. It's not that far away from the EMA, um, so I wasn't crazy about marking it even green. A lot of times you'll get two legs down, which we did end up getting two legs, but we had a little correction first. We had a two-legged correction, and then you got your second leg down. And that's pretty much a measured leg, but we never got a new low. But if you measure that, you can see we got basically a perfect measured leg there. So actually it might be one tick difference. You can see that ticked one tick higher, and those are actually the same. So it may be one tick difference, but that's about as close as you're going to get on measured legs. So, but anyway, you might have considered, if really your only options on days like this are to buy the lows and sell the highs. And you may not even get a good setup. This is not a horrible setup, but it's not ideal. So, on days like this, I may buy this. Here's a good example of what happens, though. Notice how that bar looks even. It's very similar to that one, except it did close on this very high. So it's a little better bar than that one. But it didn't quite get to the low, and it ticks higher, comes down, and it probably stops everybody out right there, and then it turns and goes right where you expect. So that's the danger of that. Um, so anyway, again, you might have wanted to enter here if you had a little better signal bar, but you never really get it going. So wait and see if it pushes up and you get a higher low, which you do now right here. This is a double test of this level, but you just don't really have a good signal bar. And you can't really consider that a double test yet because they haven't gotten down here or pushed to a new low yet. So you really don't want to enter on that bar. And of course, if you're looking at your trend working down through there, you can see, of course, this trend line doesn't always play out exactly like you would think on a range day. But it's still something to consider. You're better off to wait on that higher low, which comes here. And if you enter here, of course, you get a runner on this, and guess where it goes? Right back to the top, right what you would kind of expect. And then you get your reversal pattern here. The only reason this one is green is because you don't have a lot of room back to the highs. Actually, at this point, it would have been up here. So but you still, if you enter on a stop right here, you got 1, 2, 3, 4. It would have been a 4-tick failure. So the only way that you can enter here is let it break higher and let it back up just enough to where you got room to get out. And of course, after it makes that lower high, moved it down. But that would be the only way you could enter there, is to drop a limit order far enough back that it'd back up and fill you, and then you could still get out before getting to that high. And that would have worked if you'd have done it that way. If you'd have put it 1 tick back into this, you'd have got filled at this level. Then there's 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, and you can see it's exactly enough. That would have been the only way you could get in that one. So that's the reason that one's marked green. If you had enough room, I'd go ahead and mark that one blue. And then again, your best places to enter are off the highs and lows, and this is where it gets risky, entering in the middle here. You want to try to get in on right at the trend line, or on your reversal, and or your higher low or lower high here. And notice here you had another lower high, but it was after 2 o'clock. But notice it would have been another good move. So if it hadn't been after 2, I would have liked that one. And in this case right here, I'd probably say, with this being the highs and the way the way things have been moving lately, and notice you're moving up, you get a close outside, move to a new high, and look how many times you tested that. I'd probably want to be aggressive and risk that one. You would have had to ride it back. But what I would do is I would let it, if I'm going to wait on this bar, I'm going to let it break lower, and then I'm going to drop a limit order back up here, at least where you would have entered on this one, or maybe a little bit higher, just in case, to give myself a little room. And then you only got 1 or 2 ticks exposure as well. So if you are wrong, you don't really lose a whole lot. But ideally, you want to wait on that double top or lower high and a nice signal bar, and that doesn't come till here. I'll go ahead and mark that one. It's after 2 o'clock, but it's just right in there 2 o'clock hour, so you might have wanted to take that one, especially when there hadn't been anything else all day, really. So, but I'm probably going to risk this entry and this one. I don't think I'm going to risk this one. That's just too bearish, and then by the time you get this bar, you might let it break above and drop a limit order on back here, but you wouldn't have gotten filled, but maybe to right there at the top of that green bar, and then that's being a little risky, to be honest with you. So I think you're better off to wait on this one. But that was it for the day. There just wasn't anything else, and I mean, there's just not much volume there. There's not much movement. The entire range is, I just call this 25. Let me just call it 25.57 to 25.62, and that's pushing it really. So, you're looking at about 5 points there, and there's just not a lot of room to do anything. So, yeah, I'm not going to beat around the bush and drag this out. We'll wrap it up for today, and we'll come back tomorrow and wrap up our week. Maybe we'll get some movement tomorrow. We'll see. Be nice, but anyway, I wouldn't be surprised if we just don't continue to see exactly what we're seeing for the rest of the week. But you never try to guess where the market's going. We always want to follow it and read the price action. It'll tell us where it's going for the most part. And this was not a hard day to read. There just weren't a lot of good entries. So really, the only way you can really enter and make money is to buy the lows and sell the highs, as we talked about yesterday. So anyway, I'm going to wrap it up. We'll be back again to do it tomorrow and wrap up our week. But I'm out of here for today. This is Mac with PriceActionTradingSystem.com, and we'll see you next time.